Hi all, today we are going to discuss all the project interview questions related for the Java, Spring Boot, Microservices, AWS, SQL and any clouds related interview questions, either maybe Oracle, Google Clouds and Oracle Clouds and also. We have given many of interview, more than of 30 to 40 interview. In that, what are the interviewer ask, what type of questions with the technology and all. So we collected, and these all are the latest interview questions, where depends on the interviewer will ask on the different domain, like some of the interviewer also ask MVC pattern, some of the interviewer Spring MVC and so on. Some of the interviewer also will ask like JSP servlet and all, if they have requirement related for this legacy application. So we collected all those things like RESTful web services, either SOAP or REST or Spring MVC, Spring Boot, AWS Cloud, and Core Java, and then Microservices, and all the design patterns and all. So I collected, and even they ask also related for this some of the HR interview questions also, and project perspectives, agile related some of the questions. So we collected all the questions which I got on this last interview and all. So I have written in this Word document here. So first questions they ask in one of the interviewer in the company, like what is project architectures. So explain your project architecture. So suppose if you are discussing about this your resume and all, in that we'll have a project. So what type of project you have completed. So what is your project architecture? Can you define for this, like 2 layer of architecture, 3 layer of architectures? Can you explain this low level design and high level designs and all your project? So this type of questions ask. Second ask, can you explain a Spring MVC flow? If you have a Spring based application, so can you explain a Spring MVC flow? So based on the appropriate answers, you can check on Google's or anywhere. If you want, I will share that also. List out all the annotation in a Spring. What are the common annotations? Not all of them. What are the common annotations you used in a Spring? Like while you are developing any application in a Spring Boot, or maybe the Spring related or a Spring MVC based. So what type of common annotations you used on daily basis? Can you explain list of the all annotations? And this fourth questions are asked like what are all the annotations that you used in your project on RESTful services. So we have multiple layers are there: RESTful services communications, or maybe asynchronous or synchronous communication. So while you are communicating with the RESTful or any SOAP, so we have a different annotations which you need to use: at the rate put, at the rate get, at the rate head, at the rate deletes and all. So at the rate request mapping, path variable, query params and all. So these all are they ask like what type of annotations you used for RESTful web service. And then ask what is the use of cascaded in inverse in Hibernate. So cascaded and inverse in Hibernate. And then also will ask in while they ask for the Hibernate related for database communication with the ORM. In that they will ask first level cache and second level cache in Hibernate. Then what is the difference between array list and linked list? So this is the common interview questions which will be asked for this some of the interviewers. And then if you will go for the collection framework, so that collection framework will have also many of the interview questions is there which will be asked for the different interviewer in this different company. Array list, linked list difference. Can you explain internal flow of hash map? So this also have we seen. And what is the difference between hash map and hash table? So hash map and hash table difference also they will ask. And again suppose if you know array list in a collection, then also they will ask what is the difference between array and array list. Array is a not in collection framework, array list is a part of collection framework. So what is the difference between an array list and vector? because array list and vector both are the part of list interface. So how we will differentiate? So they will try to confuse you, like array list, linked list, array list, array, vectors and all. And the other questions which I see in your project where you used the concurrent hash map. So we have a hash map and concurrent hash map, both are different thing. So what is concurrent hash map, when to use concurrent hash map, where you use in your project, that type of questions many of the interviewer will ask. And then what is Java annoying? So Java annoying, you can search on Google what is that and when to use that. And after that we have a difference between callable interface and future interface in concurrent package. What is callable and what is future interface? Then if you will go for the core Java, they will ask some of the what is class loader, what type of class loader, how many class loaders are there while we are executing any Java program. We have bootstrap, system extension, class loader, this type of things they will ask. Then again collection framework, list and to map. How can you take list into the map? Suppose if you have created a list and now you want to convert into the map, so how you can take from map to list? Again they will reverse ask the questions like how you will convert from map to list. So these all are the many questions asked by this interviewer in different organizations interview. This is also very common when you will get a class not found and no class definition found error. So this is the part of exception where class not found and no class definition found error will come. So when you will get, like, what will be the scenario, because both things is very confusing here. So that's why they will try to confuse you, what is class not found, no class definition. Then they will ask how you will implement exception handling in your project. If you are creating any project based on a web application, then you need to handle the exceptions so that users will get any errors or any exception. Then you will get or maybe developers will know like how we will handle, and then that logs will be generated. So how you are handling this one? Then others will ask multi-threading questions is there, where you implement multi-threading in your project. Multi-threading, what is multi-threading, when to use multi-threadings and all. Then we have a design pattern questions which I collected here. What are the design patterns you observed in a Spring Boot? What are the design pattern you observed in a Spring Boot, like this. Or a Spring, depends on that. And which design pattern you use in your project. So what are the common design patterns? We have a gang of 40 design patterns are there. So what type of design patterns you used in a Spring Boots and all, like this. Ask. What are all the critical situation you come across in your project? Suppose if you are developing any project, so there will be some many things with their positive and negative things which you have done, like what are the critical situations which you have worked in your project. So can you explain all those critical situations? Either you are developing a controller, service or any layer in that situations, or maybe TV connections, or maybe some UI connectivity and all, or maybe some networking, anything. So critical situation you can express, like what you suffered in your project while developing the code changes and all. Then other question, why wait place in object class? Why not place in thread class? This is a part of thread call interview. So why wait is placed in object class? So wait is a method which is placed in object class. So why is not a thread class? So that conditions like reasons you can tell them. And what is of use of intern in a Spring? Intern method is there. So what is the use of that? And then ask a string. This is a core Java interview question. What is the difference between a strings and a string 2? So a string 1 is this one, and a string 2 by using new keyword they created. So both have different thing. One is Based on this declaration, string str equal to this and string str equal to new string. So the new keyword used. So what is the difference between those two? And then explain about this Java architecture. So what are the Java architecture? Explain about the JVM architectures. So these things they will ask. And then database query. Some of the, suppose if you have mentioned database in your resume, or may have you have developed any application for that, database call is required. So they will ask like what type of query you used in your applications. So can you explain that? And others, I have a company table in remote database. Using REST, I need to get a table data to print into the file. I have a company table in remote database, and by using REST, I need to get a table data to print in a file. So this type of scenario, some of the interviewer also try to confuse you and ask some of the scenario questions, like how you will create, or if you want they will give a scenario, by using REST I need to get the table details or table data and print into the file, or maybe JSON form or anything in the file. So how you will create. How to read book page in online library using book ID or author ID by using RESTful services. So this too is a RESTful related call using database. So how you will call this book service book page on online library using book ID or author ID by using RESTful. I have a table in remote database, not in your local, or you have a table created in remote database. How you update the data in the table using REST. So how you will update. So we will use the REST, and how you will do, either we will have a put call or post call, depends on. So in the REST we can use. So some of the interview question also they will ask like a difference between REST and web. Both are a part of web services. Right now we are using REST. So what is the difference? When to use SOAP, when to use REST, like that. And agile methodology. So this is a part of sprint agile related. So what is agile methodology? Are you working from which type of methodology for the project? If you tell them like we are working on agile, then they will ask different question. What is a sprint? What is Jira? What is task? What is Scrum, call, retrospectives and all. So they will ask this type of questions in agile. How do we create a web service project in and a Spring project in Maven? So like, have you created any project? Are you working on that? Then if you tell yes, then how you create a Spring project using Maven and all. So in exception, like how to, they will try to confuse you. What is the difference between throws and throw? Can you tell them the difference of this? Can you tell the Java8 features? Suppose if they will ask if you have added in resume Java8 and all, then ask the Java8 features. So what are the Java8 features? Which one you implemented in your project? And some of, if you have, or some of the client will have a SOAP REST full web services is required. So in that cases they will ask what are the content in which tab. It's a part of SOAP call. What are the regular expressions you use for the validations and all that thing? Can I add a element to list? If it is defined a final, then they will ask like, suppose if I have defined a final, then can I add a element into the list is final. So we have array list created as a final list. So can we add in this element? So some of the logical questions also they will ask, depends on this. So this is a part of collection in array list. And if you others question, like if you pass duplicate key to map, what will happen? If you pass duplicate key in the map, so what will happen? So first you can go for the map interface. What is the definition of map? If you are passing for the duplicate key, either what will happen? Then in this core Java we'll have what is the difference between abstract class, interface, abstract class and interface. Difference between comparable and comparator, how to compare two database by using comparable and comparator. What is the set timeout for the browser by using REST API? How you will set the timeout in browser? What is the workflow is used in your project? So workflow architectures and all will have a same thing. Like can you explain your workflow in your project? What type of workflow you have? Either MVC, Spring Boot, microservice architectures. Can you explain that? Why Java? Why not C++? Some of the interview also ask why you are using Java. What is the use of Java? Instead of that, we can go for the C, C++ or Python and all. So you can define this proper answers and all. And in written test, so they ask sorting program. Suppose if you have a written test or maybe some logical questions, they will try to give you. So if the product based company or may will be there, then they will ask like a bubble sorts, quick sorts, algorithms or sorting program. And also they will ask the complexity related question, what type of time complexity, space complexity. If you are going to implement sorting by your own, which sorting you prefer and why. So what is the use of violation, volatile and synchronize? So that also is a part of thread. What is the use of volatile and synchronize? Then serializations also will ask like what is serializations? How to implement serialization in your project? This is a very important questions. And program on iOS streams like this. So many things have asked because we have collected with multiple interview. So others they will ask like iOS stream related questions. As a file input streams, output streams and all. So after that multiples annotations we are using, like what is qualifier, when to use qualifier annotation in a Spring or a Spring Boot. Then difference between bin factory and context, application context in a Spring. And IOC container, explain IOC, inversion of control. IOC means inversion of control. And then program of a string related manipulation, like string manipulations. String manipulations, how you will manipulate a string. So they will give some of the regular expressions like this. So how you are implementing polymorphism in your project. So some of the object courses, object oriented programming is related like API is there, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance and encapsulation. So polymorphism, when you used and how you implement that. Then how you iterate map having key and list value. How you iterate map having key and list value. Difference between iterator, list iterator, enumerator in collection. What are the collections are supporting for list iterator? This is also part of collection framework. How to make non-synchronized map and list as a synchronized. How to make a non-synchronized map and list as a synchronized. So by using collection method. So also we have a methods, you can use that method and then you can do for non-synchronized to list synchronized. Difference between collections and collections. And suppose if you are working for this project, then you have some unit testing and all. So have you written this one? If yes, then they will ask some, write the JUnit cases for the below scenario, like that. Read array of the element into the list. So suppose if you are reading the element of the array type using the list, then what type of JUnit you can read? write for the same. So like this, they will ask, and then what all are the modifier we can use inside the method. Inside the method, how many modifier we can use? Answer is only final. So this also is a common which will be asked. Inside the method, what type of modifier we can use? We have public, static, private, finals and all. What is the difference between Spring JDBC and Hibernate? What all are the drawback of JDBC over Hibernate? Like some of the JDBC connectivity they will ask. So like JDBC Hibernate, when to use JDBC, when to use Hibernate, and what are the drawback of JDBC over compared to Hibernate. Then what all are the problem with interface, inheritance? What is the use of Hibernate session? How you will create a session? What type of sessions will be there in Hibernate? So they will give one query in SQL and they will ask like corresponding criteria API query. What is corresponding criteria API query and all. So why we are using @transient in Hibernate? So this is also very common questions which will be asked for the interviewer. What all are the input we are giving for the session factory? So these all are related for Hibernate session factory, and what we are writing for Hibernate mapping file. We have a mapping file, configuration file. What we are writing in configuration file? What is these all? And if you have mentioned JSP and all, suppose in your project or maybe some of the requirement have related for JSP, so they will ask some JSP scenarios also. In JSP page we have two buttons. One is add book, another is a show list of book. So by using Spring and Hibernate. So in that type of questions we ask how you will create these scenarios, how you will modify the changes or write the code for this. And what is the use of component scan in Hibernate Spring framework or Spring Boot? Component scan annotation. And servlet, what is dispatcher servlet? What is pre-processing task done by dispatcher servlet? This is the servlet questions. How to render Excel and PDF view to the end user using POI or iText API. So if you want to render Excel or PDF view or create a document or maybe iReports and all, in that cases you can use Apache POI or iText API and all. So this Apache POI and iText API is there. Through that we can create a report, either PDF, Excels and all. And other questions, how to validate a username password in a Spring. So they will ask validations. Have you done the validations for the username password? If you are using for the login page, in that login page users will enter this detail and password. So how this will be happen? So can I direct interact with the DO without service? So without service can I directly interact? So that type of questions will ask, and by default servlet container will handle multiple threaded applications. So then why you are implementing multi-threading? By default like servlet, suppose if you are using servlet, so that will be handle multiple threaded application. So why you are implementing externally multi-threadings in application? So that type of questions. These all are collected for the interview of 10 to 15 where I got interview, and then interview calls, and there I have seen this type of questions as asked. Others we have collected for different interview. Here also they ask for the different ways. Depends on the experience they will ask. So these all are the questions related for between like as a freshers also, or maybe 3 to 4 years of experience, 5 to 8 years of experience. There's also is included there. So immutable object in thread safe. Immutable object is thread safe, and then I have a two I have two threads. One thread needed to read the data from a file, other thread needed to write the data on the file. So how you will implement this one? By using wait and notify method, need to print even and odd number. So these all are the thread related questions. I have 9 users and I have 3 password. So here how to share these 3 password with the 9 user. So how you will create these scenarios in this coding, like if you are developing any code of code snippet for this any services or business logic, you have 9 users and 3 password is there. You want to share 3 password with all the 9 users. So how you will share? And other questions will ask, like I have one integer array, this is the, and with some of the element, so how you will remove the duplicate. Some of the element is there as a duplicate, so how you will remove the duplicates without using collection. So we have a collections, multiple collections methods are there. So without using collections, how you will remove the duplicate? And then maybe some of the string related questions also will ask. So these all are the mostly scenario based questions which I collected. They ask, I have a two string, like a string 1 and a string 2. Okay, so here with these two strings I want to remove common element without using collection. So what all are the common element with this two string you want to remove, so without any collection? So how you will do that? Then again I have other string questions. I have one string like this, I am a Java developer, and for this string I want to count how many times each word repeating without using regular expression. So this is a very common interview questions. Every interviewer will ask this type of questions, how you will count each of word for this given a string without any regular expressions and all. Then I have one hash map object, is also part of collection framework. I have one hash map object. With this object I want to display only repeating or repeated value, means suppose if you have one hash map contain this value. Okay, with hash map I want to display only one repeated key and value pair. So duplicate you can remove, only repeated, whatever the only one repetition is there, that you can show based on the key value pair. Only one repeated value. So that is also, you can go through the program. I have one array list object, it contains some of the element. So here I want to display only duplicate, please write the logic. We have an array of elements are there, array list of object. Inside we have a multiple duplicates, so please write the logic to display only duplicate data. In my application, end user is a part of search. He is entering entered a string like this. So how you will replace with those special character with some space? Yeah, this also we see in many of the project scenario. They ask, like suppose if the users are entering some of the special characters, so how you will replace these special characters with the space, because that special character is not valid for your application. So what type of logic you will write? Yeah, so that's. And then difference between annotation and interface is common interview theoretical question. Difference between string buffer, internal data structures in array list, find a duplicate number from array. A string anagram is also very important. Then occurrence of each word in a string. Java is what? Pass by value and or reference, justify. Oops concept related, like abstraction, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance. So that type of questions will ask. How to create a custom exception. This is a very important question. How to create a custom error, also very important question. If you use servlet JSP, then ask servlet lifecycle JSP implicit object. And in a Spring IOC, in version of control, different type of injection, how many type of injections is there in a Spring. How to make a employee object as a key in hash map. What is prepare statement if you are doing for the database connectivity? So what is prepare statement? What are the method available in result set? What is how to traverse a result set in reverse order? How to update data in result set, like that. And agile, if you have introduced in your intro, like you are working for the agile, then ask what is agile, how you are using agile in your project, difference between agile and waterfall, when to use agile, what is waterfall, why you are not using waterfall. And then MVC architecture, and how to integrate WS with Spring, web services with Spring, how to integrate Restful in Spring. WS means web services. And then IOC, type of IOC, in version of control, how many types of IOC is there, difference between application context and bean factory. How to manage transaction if there are multiple transaction resource, then how you will manage, like database, chat, Java messaging services, then how you will. What is a Spring transactions? These are also very important question. How a Spring transaction, what is a Spring transaction, how you will use this. How to execute a store procedure in Java, difference between hash set, hash map, hash tables, hash sets, and all, like that. What will happen when you are using annotation? So a status code, HTTP, because if you are using web services, then we have multiple status code is there, like 4 not 400x 500 200, like that. So what is the use of this? And difference between put and post. So these all are the web services question. Put and post is a very important questions. What is the difference between HTTP method? And then hibernate, what is hibernate dialect, hibernate template, what are the advantage of hibernate template using. Define your project architectures, we have already discussed. What is CI, continuous integration, how to use. And what is CDN server, why it is used. And then while you are hosting your website, how your website hosted, what is a scroll label, how to redirect .html page to JSP page internally. Suppose if you have web application inside that how you are redirecting this. If there is a CSS file from the table where you included into the JSP page, if you are overriding this style sheet in JSP for the table, so how you will redirect this CSS file, like this. So if you are using this legacy application like CSS, HTML, CSS, JavaScript related, then this type of questions will ask, not in a Spring Boot related. So how you make a class singleton? What happen if I have a custom class loader? Will the singleton will be work or not? What is class loader hierarchy? What is bean life cycle? What is bean scope? Difference between a struct and a spring. So a struct was a legacy application. Right now most of the company are not using, but they will ask like what is the difference of a struct and a spring. Difference between a soap and rest. When destroy method will be called in a servlet. How to create a session inside a servlet. What are the exceptions throw in a DAO class? So suppose if you are creating multiple class layer while you are developing a web application, so what are the exceptions throw in DAO class? If there is a complex query, how to execute it? Will you take a help from Hibernate or native query, like this? How to normalize with the help of Hibernate? What are the new features added in JDK 1.8? Explain. And also they will ask some of the scenario question. Annotation support there in Hibernate 3 and Hibernate 4, like this. What are the percentage of code coverage in your project? Like suppose if you are doing some test cases, then how what are the percentage you have done or has in your code coverage? So code coverage is related for the unit testing and ask to the code coverage. So what is the difference way to create a servlet? So this is a legacy application where a servlet is required, then they will ask. So some of the interview I seen like they ask this because I mentioned in my resume I worked on some of the legacy application before. So which method will be called in servlet when the request is coming? If multiple requests is coming, how many object will be created in servlet? Like this. And the core Java ask like what is markup interface? Markup interface. So markup interface is very common questions. And what do you mean by persistency? What is driver manager? What is aggregation compositions? Like this. How you are handling caching in Hibernate? What are the different level of caches available in Hibernate? What is ORM framework available in market? Difference between others and Hibernate ORM framework. And if you are using for the testing, how what is mocking? What are the library available in the market? Which one is you are using in your project? Like this. And what is a prepare statement created? If you are using Apache CXF, and if you want to expose them as a REST resource, how to do it? So you can go through this. And then how did you get the offer letter from the previous company? So some of the HR questions they'll ask some of the related for your current company, previous company details and all. When you are trying to change the company, so what you have to do and what you have done this. Why do you want to join this startup company like that? If you got the offer from big organizations like Cognizant and all, or maybe others, so then why you are joining this startup? If the both package are same and all. Why did you come back to Bangalore? So these all are the HR questions also. Some of the interview, if you selected or maybe you gone through the HR interview, then they'll ask, why did you come to Bangalore? How much salary you are expecting? Justify like this, as per the 3 years, 4 years, 7 years. You can justify as per your proper answer. And then I seen like some of the questions related for programmatical logic. So they will give some questions or scenario or program, and they will ask the output of that. So that also I collected, like they created a string operation. Inside that we have a main method. Inside main method we have three string. String 1 is something, B is something, and C is like a string 3 is a part of a string 2. Then again a string 2 is initialized with new value. So what will be the output of S1, S2 and S3? So you can check this, what will be the output, and then get them. So this type of scenario may be asked as a different way, but the pattern will be same. So this is the output. And others is like they created one string as a newspaper and a dot substring 5 comma 7. Then again they created character B, and inside that they taken as a reference a dot caret 1. And after that a equal to a plus b they have done, and after that asking for the output. So this is the output which I have given. Not sure the correct or not, but we need to check in the code. But mostly whatever I verified is correct one. If you want, you can also verify from your side. And the others we see in the programmatical questions, like int I equal to 1, j equal to 1, do this one and then continue. Pre-increment, post-increment type of questions, and then while, and after that they'll compare and then they will ask us I plus j value. And these type of questions ask like to print this 100 prime numbers, some of the first 100 prime numbers, to print this NOS from 1 to 100, sum of the digit given of NOS, whatever the numbers will be given. Find the top two maximum numbers in array, like this. Web to sort map by value. Write a program. Web means write a program to sort a map or by value. Write a program to get the line with max word count given file. Like they will give some file, inside that they'll ask write a program to find this maximum word count in the given file. Suppose an array list contain list of the employee object with employee ID, name, department as an attribute. Write a program to sort list of the employee based on employee ID. How to create a deadlock with two thread. Find the maximum repeated word from a file. Find out duplicate character in a string. Find the maximum number from a given array, like this. Find the object and then list iterator content from the array list. Write a program 1 to 50 using one thread, and 51 to 100 in another thread, and simultaneously. Write a program to get distinct element of array. So these all are the interview questions which I have collected based on the programmatical. So not in a single company asked, many of the different company has asked, so I collected and put it in this note. And then print Fibonacci series, remove the duplicate from sorted array list, find the given number is Armstrong or not. And these all are the again interview questions. It will be different companies. So I collected whatever the interview questions I remind that I noted down here with this different date, times, months and all. So how to implement security? Yeah, very common question and very important questions. How to implement security in your application, a Spring Boot project or any application? What type of security you implemented? Tell me about that. How do you get list of unique word from a sentence without using iteration or iterator? Second time. Is Hibernate completely dependent of database? When to use generated value identity in Hibernate? Is it possible to work for all database like Oracle, SQL, Postgres simultaneously? When we go for comparable comparator, where you have implemented comparable and comparator in your project, give me one scenario. Can we sort a map based on value? If yes, how? Can we sort a map based on value? Yeah, very important questions as asked different interview. Comparable, comparator, sort a map. Collection hierarchy, you can also go through that. Difference between collection and collections, multi-threading in your application, array list, linked list. When you use linked list, what is hash set, tree set? These are the collections framework related question. Then this is also very important questions. How do you use logging and auditing? How to implement login? If you mention in resume, they will ask, and also some of the scenario while if you worked on project, then they will ask this type of questions. Do you know a Spring pooling? How do you know connection pooling design pattern like this? What is collection? What type of collections is there? How do you put list of a string into the set? Is there any utility method? Do you use REST in your project? Tell me about what type of services you used and where you used. What are the component and method you use in REST? What is SQL query you fetched? And then this is a scenario. How you will fetch multiple column value from the two tables of one column sorted in descending, other column like this. How you will iterate the map. So many are there like uh, you can search these answers, proper answers, and prepare for your interview. So these all are the common. If you will prepare these all interview, then interview questions, then you can crack any of the interview. Either a fresher, 2-3 years of experience, 3 to 4 years, 5 to 6 years, 7 to 8 years, till 8 years or 9 years, you can complete these questions so that uh, you will get a proper answers and yeah, that the same questions will be asked from the interviewer because these all are the common which will be asked for the all the interviewer with the different company. So what you difficult task in your project? Yeah, very important question. What type of difficulties you got in your project while you are developing any modules or any scenarios or any customizations? Yes. Then others, how do you work on daily basis? What are your daily plan while you are working in your organization? What all are the repository responsibility of your project, of yours in your project? How these all are the project related and common questions like what is your difficulty task in your project? How do you work on daily basis? What all are the responsibility of your in your project? How to made yourself learn all these technologies? Suppose if you have deployed of any project but you don't know either this application is legacy or maybe that application is new technology, then how you will made yourself as a learn in all those technology? How do you communicate with others in your team? How to follow agile? What is agile? Do you have any experience for the deployment? Tell me about your project flow and code flow. Project flow and code flow. Tell me, do you know about Spring Elastic? What is ELK? These things will have a related for logs, ELK, elastics and all. Why do why do not you update the latest thinking like Spring Elastic? Like suppose if you are not using or if you heard first time, then ask why you have not used for Spring Elastic. Then you can go through that and check the proper answers and depends on the requirement. Tell me the sum of the classes name based on the model. What are the classes you have developed? Tell me the classes name. How do you transfer the data between project? What are the what was your responsibility? What is Jira? How you implemented any security? How you made performance optimization in your project or any applications? So uh, so this is the related for transaction like support current transactions and throw the exceptions if none exist. So how you will do that related for this? So we have a like while you use Jira, so in that we'll have a bug reportings, new, close, reject, defects and all. So these I taken how retest, reopen, closing, deferred, how you report the track defect and all. So these all are the part of Agile where we have the questions which will be asked. So the same we have seen in Google's and all like this, and also we are going through that on daily basis. So as for this, we collected and mentioned this one. And suppose if you are working for this unit test and all, then in that unit test we'll have what is the use of JUnit 4 annotation at the rate test, at the rate before, at the rate after, at the rate before class, at the rate before after class, at the rate ignore. So what is the use of, when to use this while we are doing for the testings and all like that. And at the rate test, no cache provided, Hibernate applications, session factory like this. And then internal flow of hash map, how hash map will work, what is hash code, what is equals operator, what is dot equals method related for this. AOP related, suppose aspect oriented programming, so that questions will ask. And then also we'll have some of the scenario will ask, which will create a like a CRUD based applications, or maybe where you will do the all the changes for this controller, service, annotations, method and repository and all. So that Spring annotations, what are the common Spring annotations you use, like component, service, controller, repository, required, auto wire. So what is these all annotations at the rate value? So these all are the common annotations in a Spring or a Spring Boot, where they will ask to implement this, how, when to use, what is this qualifier, value, qualifier, and then configuration, beans, component scan, depend dependency, and lazy, scope, request param, path variable, module attribute, request mapping, init binder. And after that we seen like some questions will have related for thread. So in the thread they will ask some of the basic, more than a basic questions, like high mid level of questions. What is semaphore, how you worked in semaphore in thread, and then what is business delegate, why do you need business delegate. Application specific exceptions, magic method serialization, and then transient state, persistent state, detached, race conditions, copy on right array list, countdown less, working with countdown less, then fact about countdown less. These all are the part of uh, thread. Cyclic barrier is high level of things. If you are working on thread, then you can callable, runnable. So these all are the questions which I collected. Once Maven life cycle, role based security, how you will waterfall versus agile, set interface, and JDK 10 or latest is 21 or 22 is going on right now. So these things, what are the features of JDK 10 game, or maybe others, set interface, waterfall, agile, and then role based security, how Maven lifecycle will work, IOC container, and then Hibernate internally, how Hibernate ecosystem, cyclic barrier, contextual session, map, collection, like this. So these all are the common questions which will be asked with the interviewer. If you will be prepared for these all questions, then any of the interview you can crack easily, because of we collected more than of 20 to 30 interview questions which will be asked for the different interviewer. And the common mostly if you see this one, so most of the common question asked in all the interviewer. So if you will prepare for that, then easily you will crack this, not an issue. And if you want this answers related for this questions, let me know so that we will send this. And also we have answers, so we'll go through that. Yeah, that's it from my side. If you like, please like and subscribe my video, and also let me know the what type of interview questions or next video which you want to watch. Let me know so that we'll create according to that. Thank you for that. Thank you.